September 12, 1957, in Frankfurt am Main, Germany, under a mother who was a musician herself and a father who was an inventor. He recalls combining the influences of his parents in his early music career. He would often modify their at-home piano by adding chainsaws and other unusual features that would enhance his music. His father died while he was a young boy, and after his death, Hans felt himself being drawn to music with a more dedicated mindset. It was his escape. Furthermore, in modern-day interviews, Zimmer admitted that his mother was Jewish and was able to escape Germany and remain safe during the Nazi occupation. Zimmer had a brief, formal piano lessons while he was young. He was a teenager. He moved to London and attended the Hurtwood House, a small prestigious private school for promising scholars. In the 1970s, Zimmer played the keyboard with his band Krakatoa, along with making guest appearances in many foreign bands from the UK, Germany, Spain, and Italy. Zimmer's big break in the composition world occurred in 1988 when his soundtrack for the movie Rain Man was nominated for an Academy Award. Shortly after his debut of Rain Man, he was hired to compose the soundtrack of Driving Miss Daisy, and he was yet again nominated for an Academy Award. Zimmer was on his way to becoming one of the most prolific composers of his century. Zimmer's mother was a classically trained musician who focused mostly on piano. He began his musical career on the piano at a young age. As a teenager in London, Zimmer took a liking to a new wave alternative bands who had a road trip feel with synthetic dynamics. Zimmer was also influenced by foreign bands that focused heavily on synthetic/electric sounds. Zimmer claims that his favorite instrument will forever be the synthesizer, which makes sense when you listen to many of his scores. Zimmer's early work was modeled after the bands of his youth, and roots of this synthetic sound can still be found in trace amounts in all of his scores to this day. However, as Zimmer evolved as a composer, he went from strictly synthetic feeling good roadie to driving and in regards to his compositional style. His works definitely matured in the late 80s and early 90s. Zimmer committed to focusing his career on motion picture soundtrack and scores. This decision would influence the rest of life, where he would become one of the most prolific score writers to ever walk the planet.
To sum up Zimmer's style, you can say symphony meets synthesizer. He has an unmistakably refined blend of orchestral sounds with man-made and electronic sounds. His rhythms are always relatively straight with little to no syncopation on the driving undertones. He saves the fancy stuff for the top layers of the track. His scores are almost always considered forceful, driving, cinematic, passionate, and culturally correct. This characteristic was especially true when he composed the soundtracks for movies The Gladiator and The Last Samurai. The instrumentation of many of Zimmer's scores is a pleasing blend of orchestral and cinematic synthetic sounds that are artfully overlapped and able to evoke all types of feelings. It has been said that many of the films Zimmer has composed won Academy Awards for the Best Picture largely due to Zimmer's soundtrack and its undeniable influence on watchers. Zimmer is praised for truly creating scenes with music and lifting listeners into new worlds. For example, one of my favorite movies is The Dark Knight Rises, which is composed by Zimmer. I really like this movie so much because the music makes the scenes even more intense than it actually is. It has a way of drawing you in and never letting you go from start to finish. It's no wonder that Zimmer is one of the most influential and popular composers of the 20th century. His music is not just music, it's a whole lifetime in one score. Hans Zimmer has been nominated 160 times for various awards, including the prestigious Academy Award for Best Soundtrack, Best Achievement in Motion Pictures for Written Soundtrack, Best Original Score, various Golden Globes, ARIA Awards, and numerous other small-scale awards. Of the 160 nominations, Hans Zimmer has won 108 of them. That is unprecedented. Some of Zimmer's most famous movies are Rain Man, Driving Miss Daisy, The Lion King, As Good as It Gets, Black Hawk Down, Ella Enchanted, The Dark Knight, Iron Man, Transformers, Despicable Me, Madagascar, Sherlock Holmes, Gladiator, The Last Samurai, Inception, The Da Vinci Code, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Pirates of the Caribbean, Kung Fu Panda, The Amazing Spider-Man, and Interstellar. Hans Zimmer's success clearly came during his lifetime, considering he is still alive and in high demand by movie producers, directors, and across the globe. Zimmer's success can be attributed to his mastery of the synthesizer, his flair for details and pulse, and his ability to bring movies to life, which is what all movie composers should strive to do. Zimmer's mastery of the synthesizer allows him to amp up his orchestral scores with unique characteristics. This creates dimension and depth within his scores. His flair for detail and epic driving pulses make his music heart-pounding, memorable, and exciting to listeners. Finally, Zimmer's ability to bring movies to life is unable to be replicated by any other composer today. He creates his own style and he is the leading man. No one can touch his skills. The unique musical persona Zimmer created for himself is what led him to immense success in his life. The world will be losing a genius when he dies.